Thanks very much. Awesome. Hi everyone. This will be the most important few minutes you spend in this room tonight. It is a very great privilege and honour to be able to talk to someone who's lived through what Marianne has lived through. So first and foremost, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with everyone tonight. Marianne was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2018, but unlike a lot of women, when she was diagnosed, it had already spread. And by that I mean she has stage 4 breast cancer or metastatic breast cancer. That's a pretty terrible thing for anyone to hear anytime. Now, it's just been October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, just done. It's a great thing, it brings it to the fore for everyone. But what does it mean for a woman who's got metastatic breast cancer?
Personally, I find October really difficult because I'm not going to be out on the MCG waving that I'm a survivor flag. When I was diagnosed on a Monday afternoon, they said to me, "We've found cancer in your neck and we think it's come from your breast and you're going to die." So that whole survivorship doesn't apply to me. No matter what I do, this disease is going to kill me. So October as being breast cancer isn't all rah, rah, rah. You're going to get out there and beat this, because I'm not. So I personally find it a really difficult month, because there is still 91% of women are going to survive, but there's still that 9% that aren't. And unfortunately, I'm in that 9%. Yeah, so that's how I feel about October. Yeah.
I think it's important just to remember that unfortunately, although we're doing very well in things like breast cancer, not everyone makes it, and it just means we've still got more work to do, and that's why we're all here in the room. Can you tell us a bit more about your story, about how it all came about? Because like everyone who gets cancer, it's unique. Everyone has a different story. I'm sure everyone in the room's heard people say, "Oh, this is what happened to me, and it should be like this, and it should be like that." But actually, it's not like that, is it?
No, I was going through, had lots of nerve pain in my neck, and they found bone cancer. And so then it took them about 4 or 5 days to work out that it actually come from the breast. And I remember that my GP sitting me down on a Monday afternoon and just asking me to come into the office. And I thought, well, I don't think there's anything right with this. So I said to my husband, "Can you come with me to this appointment?" So at no stage was I asked to bring somebody with me, which I find incredible. But so I was sat down and she sort of matter-of-factly turned and said to Miles and I, "Well, I found this cancer, we think it's come from somewhere else, so the prognosis isn't good and you're probably, you're going to die." And that, I was 48 and I had a child finishing grade 6. My eldest son, who's now 25, had just moved to America to take up a baseball scholarship and study in college. And I remember walking out of my GP's office and Miles grabbing my hand and saying, "But we're meant to grow old together." And I'm thinking, I'm not going to see my boys grow up, get married, I'm not going to become a grandmother. There's all these milestones. And we spend our lives sort of planning for our retirement, and I thought, oh my goodness, this isn't going to happen for me. And as time went on, and it was difficult, I always think back and think, oh, that was the worst day of my life, but it was also the beginning of the rest of my life, because I really have a different attitude towards living in life now.
What do you think for the family going through, because you had to have surgery on your neck?
Yeah, I had.
And then you had radiotherapy?
Yeah. So the surgery was only meant to last 3 hours and went a bit haywire and it lasted for 7, so my poor husband was pacing. It was really hard, and it's really hard when you've got, when you have to get on the phone to your son who's on the other side of the world and say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, mate, but we've just been diagnosed with this cancer, and I know you've now committed to college in the US for so many years, but we don't really know how long I'm going to be here. But don't come home, because this is your dream." And then of course when COVID hit, I didn't see him for 2 years. And that was really hard. It was extremely difficult for my 12-year-old. He really acted out during his early years at high school. We had a fantastic network at school, and my poor husband, he just gets forgotten. The men get forgotten. It's about me, and it's not about him. And really, there needs to be more support for the family. He's amazing and he's incredible, and I'm so grateful for it. So thank you, Miles. Thank you for being here.
Breast cancer, we're lucky in breast cancer land, it gets a lot of attention, and we hear about breast care nurses and they're fantastic, but I think maybe we're not quite as good around that as we think we are.
No, I have never seen a breast care nurse. Like we talk about mammograph nurses, I have never seen one, and I've been with this illness for 6 years. I'm in the private system. It's very different to the public system. But I have never seen a breast care nurse, and most of the girls in my support group haven't seen one either. And I find that mind-blowing, because we fall through the gaps because nobody wants to be in our shoes. We are early breast cancer women's worst nightmare, and I don't blame them. But yeah, so I've never seen one, and I think that's something that we could certainly look at addressing.
One of the reasons we're sort of in the room tonight, and it's interesting that although we do lots of counting in Cancerland, and we use 5-year survival figures all the time, actually we don't count women who have metastatic breast cancer. We don't count people who have metastatic anything, they just disappear into a bit of a black hole. And so luckily the government's trying to change that. But it's about time, because if we don't know the size of the problem, we're not likely to do anything about it. And actually, there are probably at least 20,000 women living in Australia who have metastatic breast cancer. And it's one of the things we need to put a bit more time and attention to. A bit like a lot of the side effects we cause by all the wonderful treatments we have got. Do you want to talk to people a bit about that?
Yeah. I remember saying to my family, what have I learned over the past 5 years? That I've learnt that I'm not brave and I'm not courageous, and it was just a shit hand that I've been dealt with. But I know how to vomit spectacularly. I got diarrhea. I'm a master in that, and the nausea and the amazing side effects that you get from these wonderful drugs. They can be extremely challenging, but I have a good medical system around me that keep throwing drugs at me. Try this, try that. But yeah, the side effects of some of these treatments I'm pretty lucky compared to what I watched a lot of the other women go through. But yeah, look, the vomiting and the diarrhea really does get to you after a while. It's not much fun.
I want to touch on one of the things, because you mentioned Miles, and men are terrible. We don't understand anything about literally anything. Hot flushes, could you talk about, because I'm pretty sure Miles knows a fair bit about hot flushes, like you do.
Yes, so because I was 48, and mine's a hormone-driven cancer, they put you straight into menopause. And the problem is that all these years later, I'm still getting really bad hot flushes. And poor Miles, in the middle of winter, has got a blanket and 4 jumpers on, and I'm like, don't you touch that thermostat. I'm sitting there going like this. And luckily there's this new amazing drug that's just come out for, not hormone-based, for hot flushes, and I'm hoping it's going to be a game changer.
I just wanted to highlight that we're not talking about the drug, because I'm not here to pump the farmer up. But it's very important that at last pharmaceutical companies are actually trying to help deal with the problems they've been creating, and it's a huge benefit for someone like yourself. Lastly, more importantly, it's like way more important than a drug. I know you're part of Thursday Girls. Can you just tell us what that's meant for you and your whole cancer experience?
Sure. So when you're initially diagnosed, you think you're going to die, and you think you're going to die tomorrow. And so you do all the practical things, you write your will, you do your medical power of attorney, you do all your treatments, and then they sort of end up throwing a bag of drugs at you and saying, we'll see you in a couple of months. And then when you've gone all through that practicalities, I literally just fell apart. So about 3 or 4 months after my diagnosis, I just thought, I was so sad and angry, and why me, and I need something and there's nothing out there. I don't want to join a group for early breast cancer because I'm not going to survive. So I looked around and I found this group called Thursday Girls. So it's a therapy-led, non-for-profit, led by a couple of facilitators who are professionals, social workers, counsellors. And I walked into this room to a room full of women that are not dying from breast cancer, they're living with it. And some of them have been living with it for 5, 10, 20 years. And it wasn't a room full of wailing, sad women, which is what a lot of people perceive us to be, even the medical profession, which really frustrates me, because when women are diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer and they've sort of handed the brochure and said, oh, it might not be for you, they're all dying. Well, yes, but we're dying, but we're also living, and we have a lot of fun, and we do cry, but we do laugh a lot, and terribly inappropriate, dark humour. My husband has said, no, you cannot have a glass coffin and wear a Snow White outfit. So, for me, it's been a lifesaver. And we don't get government funding, and we're a small group, but we're trying to be there for all Victorian women with metastatic breast cancer. So we meet in person, but we also meet over Zoom. So our philosophy is that no one should be alone. No one wants to join us. God, no one wants to join us, but we're there, and we're there if you need us. And I hope you never need us. I really hope you never need us. And I hope one day that there's no need for this group to exist. But at the moment they do, and for me, it has literally saved my life. It is, Thursday's one of my favourite days of the week. Yeah, I've watched 20 women die, but these women they've changed my life. They've been amazing. And there's one sitting up the back of the room, came to support me tonight. And I love her, and she's one of my best friends now. So for me, it's wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That's just been an incredible thing for you to get up and tell all these people out here why we're here and why we want you to put your hand in your pocket in a minute. Kate's got some lovely flowers for you. But before we go, I think you might have one advert. Can you tell me something about the Thursday Girls Need a Travel Agent?
Yeah, so we always laugh and say that Thursday Girls are a travel agent's wet dream, because we travel, we just want to travel, and also funeral director too, honestly. Captive audience.
So it's a business opportunity for so much. Thank you so much.